I can feel my face when I'm with you. But I love it, yes I love it. 'Cause I can feel my face when I'm with you. But I love it, yes I love it. Breakfast with Bob.
Welcome to day 2. How about a round of applause from our huge studio audience for Pacho Man? We are presented by EAS Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Porter, Rudy Project, Slow Twitch, our other sponsors. With us, the 3-time Ironman World Champion, course record holder, the great Mirinda Carfrae. How you doing, Rinny?
I'm doing great, thanks, Bob. Feeling
Wonderful. You're feeling good? This is like your favorite week of the year?
good. Favorite, well, maybe the race and then the week after.
The week after.
Yeah.
What makes this week tough? Is it just all the waiting?
Yeah, I guess, hurry up, wait, a lot of commitments, and then all of that nervous energy. I mean, I'm sure I'll look back when I'm retired and think that these were the best weeks of my life, but in the moment, you're kind of like a caged lion. You're ready to get out there and get after it.
How many years ago did you make the decision, okay, this is going to be my focus, this 1 week? The other stuff leading in is great, but the only thing that really matters is this week in Kona.
I think really early on, actually, even before I was coming to Kona, I had my eye on the prize way back in my late ITU days, so sort of 2005. Even though I was so far away from doing an Ironman, this race really spoke to me, and it was my one major goal in the sport. And so naturally, when I stepped up to race Ironman in 2009, it was all about Kona the whole year.
Coming here that first time in 2009, you almost feel like, okay, this isn't a foreign place. It feels like this is where I need to be.
Yeah, I felt like that, but I also was very nervous. It was my first ever Ironman too, and I had massive expectations, as you would know from thinking about this race for so many years. But yeah, I mean this race does feel like home to me, especially now, 7 years later. This is my 7th year in Kona. It goes very quickly, but I've had such great races here. I've had just such a great time. This island's given me so much, and hopefully it keeps giving, and I can keep coming back here and racing well.
When I look at legendary races, there's only a few that stick out. Back in '84 when Mark Allen had like a 12-minute lead and Dave Scott ran him down. When Karen Smyers ran by Paula, who had a big lead. And then your race last year, being over 14 minutes down off the bike. And I know how hard you've worked on your cycling. And was it just one of those things that when you got off the bike, it's like, I rode as hard as I could. Those girls just rode great.
Well, yeah, they did ride very well, and I did ride as hard as I could. So it wasn't like I had a decision in that 14-minute deficit last year. So I certainly didn't believe at the time that I got off the bike that I could catch Rachel and Danielle. I know that those two girls can run very well, and I was just fortunate that maybe they did push a little too hard on the bike, and they started to fade in the last sort of 10K of the run. And fortunately, I rode as I should have ridden and was able to run to my ability. You
know what happens sometimes, I think, when some of the top swimmers get out of the water together, it almost becomes a bike race where they're surging, and while you don't never want to be behind off out of the swim, the advantage you have is you can think about nutrition, you can think about steady state, you can think about your power, and not have to react to another person around you.
Well, I mean, there is that, but it's kind of always the way I've raced here. I mean, I'm still getting out of the water with the likes of Heather Wortell.
Right.
There's a lot of good cyclists that will be around me again this year, and you kind of make the decision, do you ride with them? Last year, I rode with Heather and a couple of the other girls for about 50 or 60 kilometers, and then Heather took off, and I just knew that the pace that she was holding was too hard for me to be able to run off the bike, so I kind of let her go. I mean,
it's a balance.
You're not really letting her go.
No, she's going to go.
She's going to go away.
Right.
But at the same time, I wasn't killing myself to try and keep up with her. I wanted to stay within my pace, and that's how I've always raced here. But you're right. I think this year, depending on the conditions in the swim, we might see 10 or 12 girls out together, like we did in 2013. And since the women haven't really raced like that, I don't think, much throughout the year, it might be difficult for them to, having fresh legs to race their own race and focus on themselves. So, but that's everyone's, own race, and everybody has to make many, many decisions throughout the race, and hopefully you make those right ones. Some of them are risks, and some of them pay off.
So when you're 14 down, the nice thing is you're still in the top 10. I think you're like 8th place or something. So I'm sure in your mind you're thinking, I've never been off the podium here. I've won twice, I've been second, and I've been third. I've
Yep.
never been off the podium. Let's see if I can get towards the podium. Was that going through your head?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the first couple of miles I was very negative, very like, oh, I suck, like all of those, all of those.
Suck.
I suck. What
You
was I
heard it
doing
here
out
first,
there
yeah.
on the bike? And then you switch it around, and my goal became, okay, well, I've got nothing else to do today. I'm in great shape.
I don't have a
I
tea
might as
time
well.
anytime soon.
I might as well, put together my best marathon or
Yeah.
thereabouts. And my first goal was to get in the top 5,
Right.
which I was able to do pretty
Pretty quickly, yeah.
Well, not pretty quickly. It took me about half a marathon.
Did it really take
but
you? Yeah.
But when I got to top 5, it was actually third, fourth, and fifth I passed
Right there,
together.
yes.
So top 5 was basically third place.
Yes.
And so then all of a sudden I'm positive, and I'm like, I'm in third place. I was 14 minutes down. I'm back on the podium. I'm still feeling good. And then still wasn't thinking about trying to win the race. I was
Right.
just trying to think about holding it together, being smart, pacing correctly, eating well, fueling. And then Rachel started to get closer, and
Yeah.
then of course Daniela in the end. But yeah, I mean it just goes to show you that you're never out of it. I mean, you could have terrible moments in the race, things can go wrong, but you have a choice as to how you respond to those negative situations. And I mean, it's an 9-hour race, and everything's not going to go perfect. So it's about how you deal with those
Adversity when it
imperfections.
Mark Allen was saying yesterday when we talked about his comeback in '95 when he ran down Thomas Hellriegel,
Yeah.
and he said, your mind's going, I'm 13 minutes down, my condo's right there. And he said, finally, you just have to tell yourself to shut up.
Yeah.
Right? Just put one foot in front of the other.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that basically what you told yourself?
Yeah.
Is get those negative
for
thoughts
sure.
out of there.
Oh, I mean, the negative thoughts, they come in. We're all human.
Right.
And I definitely had them, and I had those same thoughts. Why even bother racing? I mean, I felt that anything outside of, a victory was a failure coming in
Right.
as defending champion. So, having that mindset coming off the bike, it was tough to turn around. But, at some point you do have to just shut it off and just, give your all. And
Right.
and look what it gave Mark Allen
Yes.
back in
95, his
95.
last ever race.
And,
Boom, walked away,
yeah,
dropped the mic.
That's
I'm
right.
out.
Yeah, totally. And then the same with me last year. If I'd given into that negative self-talk and given up, then
Right.
who knows?
It's
what I'll be doing
interesting.
this
It's
year.
interesting because what you learn from those type of days.
Oh, yeah.
Chrissy basically hung it up after a day like that where she held you off by about 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but she had to dig so deep to win that race that basically I'm done. There's
Yeah.
nothing left for me to accomplish on this island.
Yeah.
When you finished last year, what were your thoughts? Because that's an epic day. When you come from 14 down to win a race, when you're a defending champion, everybody's expecting you to win, you're dealing with every piece of adversity there is, and then you still win.
I mean, I look at last year, and I don't believe that performance was as good as 2013. And so
Interesting.
I feel that I'm a better athlete than that, and I feel that I can ride faster, and that
Yes.
depending on the conditions, obviously, that Madame Pellet throws at
Yes.
us out in the Queen
Yeah.
K, and then whether it gets super hot in the run. But honestly, last year's conditions were really great for fast running.
Right.
It was pretty cool.
A little overcast.
My 6 years of racing here, it was the coolest run year I'd ever seen. So I believe that 2013 was a better performance than
Why?
20.
Why was it a better performance?
Just looking at the numbers on the bike, I know I rode better
Okay.
on the bike, and then it was a warmer day, and to be able to run basically the same time off a harder bike
Right.
in warmer conditions. So 2013 was definitely a better performance, but mentally 2014 was a tougher performance.
Right. So when you take those two races, and this is probably, again, one of the greatest female fields ever assembled, which I know you love.
Yeah.
You want everybody in the starting line. You want
Yeah.
everybody healthy.
Uh-huh.
What do you take from those two races into this? Because they're all thinking, okay, 14 wasn't enough. We need 15. We need 16. We need 17.
It's a new year, Bob.
Right.
And
Every time. Starts
every
over.
time. Yeah, and I've had great success on the island here. I've had some great races, but that means nothing for a Saturday. I mean,
Right.
the girls are fitter and stronger, and they know what I have. They know the cards I'm playing, and I'm sure that they'll have a different deck to throw out there on race day. And I'll go out there and do my best to to hold off the onslaught. But
Yes.
those girls, I have much respect for all of them. They're going to be very strong on the bike. They're going to put time into me, and that's no secret. But hopefully, I can hold my own there on the bike and still run well.
Speaking of cycling, we talked about that a couple years ago, that your bike had become a weapon, right? The closer you are to people off the bike, the more worried they're going to be and the more excited you're going to be.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this year has been a good cycling year, training leading into this race?
Yeah, I mean, we worked on my bike pretty heavily, a bit more strength training this year in the first half of the year, and I feel pretty strong on the bike. That being said, I felt strong last year too, and I didn't ride to my abilities. It's really all about getting everything out of yourself on race day,
Right.
and if I can do that, then I think I've got a legitimate shot at winning again.
Yes.
But again, you've got to get it all right on race day, and that's what these next few days are, making sure my mind's ready and my body's ready for that challenge.
When we look at the history of Ironman, Paul has won 8 times, and Natasha's won 6 times, and Chrissy's won 4 times, and you've won 3 times. All of a sudden, you win a 4th time, you're in pretty rarefied air. What would it mean to you to get a 4th win here? And I know sometimes it's hard to look back on your career in the midst of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, winning a 4th would be amazing. I mean, winning 3 is amazing.
Yes.
And I already feel like I'm, in a small company
Yes,
with
no question.
multiple
With 3,
titles. So yeah, I mean, winning another one would be absolutely amazing. It's everything I've been training for this past year. It's everything I've been thinking about. All my eggs are in this basket, so hopefully it pays off.
So when you look back, and after you won in 2010 and 2011, had that classic battle with Chrissy. I know you didn't win that day, but when you look back at that race, are you proud of that race because it was such a great battle and it was only separated by a couple minutes against a woman who at that point was seriously the most dominant woman in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I look back on that performance in 2011, and I remember crossing the finish line and just being so disappointed in myself because I know that I didn't do everything I possibly could in 11 to prepare for Kona because I was celebrating. I won in 2010.
Yeah.
I was on top of the world, and I took every opportunity that was given to me. I didn't know. You never know if you're ever going to win again.
Right.
And so coming into 11, Chrissy was injured. I mean, she was pretty beat up from that bike wreck.
Yeah.
And I still wasn't able to beat her. So I kind of crossed that finish line pretty down on myself and, went away and was like, okay, well, that's not going to happen again. I don't care if I win another world title. I'm going to make sure I have everything that I need to do is done leading into this race so that I can go into that start line and know that I'm well prepared and can put together a great race.
So it's almost like after you won in 10, it's the culmination of my dreams is to win the Ironman. I just won the Ironman, and it almost becomes a little bit of victory tour, sponsor stuff, the rest of it. And then you come back in 11, you're going, oh man, I didn't do those little things that I needed to do. And you paid for it.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I believe I paid for it. But again, Chrissy is such a phenomenal athlete. I was disappointed when she retired in 2011 because
I think that affected you in 2012.
Yeah,
because you wanted to knock her off.
Absolutely, like she was my motivation coming into this race and knowing that she was still a step ahead of me. If Chrissy was healthy in 2011, no injuries, she would have crushed me.
Right.
That's no secret. But I think that now that I'm sort of coming into my own, I'm 34, I've done a number of Ironman events now. This is my 7th time racing Kona. I feel that I can race this race. I know how to race the whole race. And I think that that's what it would have taken. But, I mean, we can sit here and talk all day about, whether I could beat Chrissy or not. But, she's not racing here anymore. And I've got a new...
You've got a lot of people to worry about.
I've got a lot of other people to worry about, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that when you have somebody who is I can't imagine Mark Allen would have stayed motivated if David retired after he won in 86 or 87. I think it would have been hard for him.
Yeah.
And having Chrissy retire in 2011, I'm sure affected your 2012 when you ended up getting 3rd because, it's hard. You want to beat the best at their best at the most important race in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the driving force. And having people like athletes like Daniela come through, that's not to say take anything away from the girls that are already there.
No.
Rachel Joyce, better and stronger every year. Carol and Stefan, always a force here at this race. There's a bunch of other new faces, but Daniela Riff is the leading new face on the island here. And having someone like that just motivates you. You know that she's going to be in great shape. She's been setting the world on fire all year. I don't think this race will be any different. And that's what you get up and train for, and that's what motivates me every day to try and be a better athlete.
When you caught her last year on the run, did she try to stay?
I think she did. I don't really.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I wasn't looking back. I was not really planning to hang around too long. But
no chatting.
No, it wasn't much small talk there. But no, I was kind of. I was set on getting out of there as quickly as possible, and I think she hung for a little bit from footage that I've seen post race. Yes. But yeah, I don't know. A 14-minute deficit. If she could hang on to me, that would have been impressive.
Really impressive.
Or maybe would have blown up. But
so coming down to the E-Drive last year, with I remember Chrissy again talking about 11. That meant so much to her because of the comeback and because of what she had gone through. Did it mean more? Does it one of those things, or does it ever get old coming down to the E-Drive first?
No, it never will.
Yeah.
No, I don't think. I mean, again, I look back, and 2013 I think was my most complete race here on the island. 2014 taught me that no matter what happens out there, to keep fighting, because you never know what the other girls are going through, and it's really a gift to yourself to be able to just push through, and that sort of was the lesson I took away from 14. I mean, it was a massive surprise to get across that finish line first after being so far down off the bike. So that race was a range of emotions, and to come off in first place, definitely a race I will never forget.
Love it. Mirinda, thanks so much for always being so generous with your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We love chatting with Mirinda Carfrae again. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are presented by EAS Sports Nutrition. Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Puta, Rudy Project, Slow Twitch, and we wouldn't be Breakfast with Bob without the amazing Poncho Man.
I can feel my face when I'm with you. But I love it, yes I love it. Breakfast with Bob and Mirinda.
Legend. Thank you so much.